everyone, I'm Light.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kishira Olafadeko.
And you're welcome to the
Unfiltered Podcast from Rose. It's really exciting to be here. Really,
I'm so
it's
happy.
true.
How do you feel?
I'm so excited, of course. I'm very happy because I know what this means to me.
You know?
You know, but thank God we're here. We're doing it. It's happening.
Yeah.
The devil's in
Yeah.
trouble.
But first, I wanted to chip in. Kishi, what does Kishi mean?
Well, Kishi is actually like the abbreviated form of my name, Iteoluwa Kinshi, and short story. So my dad always said there was this presenter then doing the same thing I'm currently doing right now.
Oh, wow.
And she would say, my name is Kishiwara Daramola. And my parents knew that was the name they were going to give their child.
Really?
And then they prayed again. And like the meaning of my name, like kind of like manifested during my mom's pregnancy. So my name means Iteoluwa Kinshi, which means the throne of God, where it's seated in heaven, cannot be moved. It's permanent.
Wow,
my
that's
God.
powerful.
So, yeah.
I really like your name, like it's special. Okay, so today's episode we'll be talking about dealing with church hurt and trauma. Guys, but before we go in, Light, I want to ask you, have you been in that situation? Have you experienced it before? This is your home, please.
So
Tell us.
when it comes to church hurt and trauma, the trauma is the product of the church hurt, right?
Definitely.
So when it comes to church hurt and let's leave the trauma, let's deal with the hurt.
Okay.
So when it comes to church hurt,
That one is pregnant.
Like
it's deep.
Very pregnant.
It's
very
deep.
deep.
And we need you to give
Don't worry,
birth
why
to that
here, why
baby.
I
for
may
it.
not be able to give the context, like I may not be able to give the full story as to the journey of the hurt, but I'm just going to, just chip in here and
Yeah,
there.
just give us bits.
So when it comes to church hurt, I would say that hurt itself is something that makes you have a distorted view of how you see yourself or the thing that hurts you, right? So so for a girl who is, say, respects elders, and then an elder molests the child, the child loses a bit of respect for elders generally, because the child would feel that elders are given to hurting people who are minors. Do you understand?
So, like, it
So
causes a
it gives
conception
you
in her heart.
a different view of the person or the thing that hurts you. So when you begin to have a distorted view of a thing, it means that there's hurt there. And in fact, that results in trauma. So you would say that trauma is a distorted view of whatever has inflicted hurt on you.
Okay, but have
Right?
you been-
So when it comes to church hurt,
Okay.
it now you can see the effect of the hurt in the person who is being hurt, in their approach to things that has to do with God, especially the context church. So you know that the church itself is God's bride. Ephesians gives a holistic view of what the church is about, what the church is meant to be for every believer, the congregation, the community, the gathering. That's the church, right? So the book of Ephesians gives a holistic view as to what the church, or the role the church plays in the life of every Christian. Now, what we also do not understand is that when the people of God gather, or when people gather in a church context,
Community.
what happens is that the people who show up there are not people who just fell down from heaven that Sunday morning
Definitely.
and just walked into church. They are people. We can't even forget the word people. So it means that we have people who are okay to say, I've been hurt in church, and it's okay for me to view church a certain way. However, when I'm hurt at my place of work, it doesn't affect my view of my place of work. So when I go to church, I just categorize them. Church people are a certain way. But I don't say work people are a certain way.
True.
So it now makes me, even when it comes to the word church hurt, I sort of cringe. Because why associate? It's like saying bride hurt. The body of Christ hurt.
Children hurt.
Do you understand? So the context itself makes me cringe because I'm like, why associate hurt to God? Because the people who hurt you are people who are also trying to find God like you're trying to find God.
Yeah.
Right? So, but what happened is that the context in which the hurt took place made you give a definition to the hurt that you experienced.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Kishi, have you been in that situation, or have you experienced it, or do you know anybody who has? And
Yeah.
how have you been able to avoid that?
I feel like I actually think everybody has experienced church hurt to some extent, and everybody is going to, because if you're looking from the perspective that Lai just shared about the fact that church hurt is not necessarily as a result of the church, but the people that are in the church. What I just like to say is everybody's is everybody has a right to feel hurt by something. The fact that you don't think it's enough to like inflict hurt on me does not make it less of an hurtful experience. And again, one thing I always tell people is this: I personally like to approach life from the perspective of people are very, very fickle, and people are going to necessarily or not necessarily hurt me, consciously or unconsciously,
Yeah,
because of the
that's
fact that
true.
they are people.
True.
Nobody's
Yeah, humans.
nobody's perfect or incapable of hurting somebody, because
Yes.
even the best of humans are still going to be in that position where they unconsciously or consciously do something that will hurt you.
Yeah.
The problem I have is when you fail to allow me process that hurt, or you fail to allow me express the fact that I'm hurting because you think what you did to me is not enough to help me.
So they trivialize it.
Yes. So that's what I'm going to say. Because why people don't necessarily see work, or they don't say work out. And again, that's even why we have the buzzword toxic workplace. So it doesn't mean that they extract the art from the workplace. I left a workplace because it was toxic.
yes.
So they just don't call it work art.
hurts.
They just said the workplace is toxic. Just one person
Yes.
made me a place that was paying me in dollars. Why? It wasn't conducive for my mental and my emotional, and my work was being affected. I wasn't productive. And it was very obvious that I was not going to grow through the ladder. So there was no point staying. So I left, and I didn't even think twice, because it's not a marriage. It's not a do or die affair. Right? But for me, I feel like people even stay longer in churches because they feel like they put God in the
Yes.
contest. And once God is in the equation, it's very hard to separate yourself and that person from the situation.
You know,
Do you
there's something Kishi said that really stood out, right?
Okay.
She said the job she left pays in dollars. That's something. We live in a time when everybody's running after jobs that pay in dollars, right?
Yeah.
And she has one, and she left it. But guess what? It didn't make her stop working.
No.
She
definitely.
continued working. But the thing with church hurt is that you get hurt and people say, I'm never attending church again.
Yeah, sure. So let me come in there, because for me, so I've built myself to the point where I try not to be so scared, because that's what the enemy wants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We are fighting, like the enemy is fighting for the body of Christ to just, everybody's just scatter.
Yeah.
You know, so I've built myself to that point where nothing really phases me, because the truth is that even Jesus went through things, but did he say he will not die for you? No. He stood to the assignment and he did what he had to do.
Imagine if on the way to the cross,
and says, I'm
and
not
then he
doing it
says,
again.
you know what? I'm not doing it
You
again.
people are doing too much. Like, you're
I'm not
doing
dying
too much.
for
I
you.
can't
I'm not
do
dying
this.
again.
Exactly. So I always tell people that people in church are human beings, right? And
True.
choose that people are not Jesus Christ. Do you get? They are
Definitely.
humans.
We're trying to be
humans
like
will always
Christ.
human, like somebody
Yeah.
always says. So you have to build yourself to that point where you know what. Whatever you do is between me and God. And it's church. You're coming to church for God, right? So put that factor in whenever anything comes at you.
Yes.
Say, I'm in church. I came to meet my father. I came to build myself, my relationship. I came for worship.
Yeah.
Yes, this person has done this person has done that. Yes, sometimes they trivialize it, we know, and it's painful.
Very.
But we need to get to the point where we start to practice advanced forgiveness
Yes.
as Christians.
That's the word.
If you can get to
Please
that point,
repeat that. Advanced forgiveness.
you have to practice it. Like, if you can get to that point, trust me, you're good. Nothing will come to you. Like, you'll just be cruising. Because that's what the enemy wants. Because those people actually, those people are humans, like I said.
Yes.
And they've given themselves, they've opened up, I don't know, they just opened up themselves for the enemy to come through. The truth is that it is the enemy you're fighting and not those people.
Exactly.
You know that. So see it like that. So,
And sorry to cut you short.
No, it's
sis.
fine.
You know, the amazing thing about this church hurts, even though we say, yeah, people are hurting me, I try to sit back sometimes and not just focus on this person is hurting me, but why is this person hurting me? Do you understand? Because we're all products of our environment, products of our upbringing, our background. You know, where you're coming from can affect how you relate with other people.
Yeah.
I'm someone that would step into a space and not say a word. I can live in an environment and not know a person till someone comes and says, oh, I have this friend, and by association, say Cesar comes to see me or visit me, and then she meets Kishi, and she's like, Light, I know Kishi, oh." And by association with Cesar and constant contact with Kishi, when Cesar leaves, you can bet that the relationship, no matter the degree at which, you know, the relationship had progressed, you know, the relationship between Light and Kishi would at least be sustained to some extent.
Yes.
Now, I'm trying to say that when a person says, I've been hurt in church, you need to understand that the person, let's even remove the word hurt, the person who did what they did to you, what they did really wasn't about you. It has always been about them, what they are dealing with, where they are coming from, their life's experiences.
and what they open themselves up
Do you
to.
understand? So there's no way. The reason why we actually get hurt is because we opened up ourselves for what the person did to get into us. And the moment it got into you, you made room. You created space for a reaction. I don't know if you understand.
Okay,
yes.
So you know how she said, I'm sorry, you know how she said forgiveness in advance. Understanding that, and I think this is something that would help. You know,
Yeah.
understanding that I've never met Kishi. Kishi's having a bad day. And where she's coming from, or where, you know, her background, when people have bad days, they don't talk to people. And if you dare talk to them, that's the upbringing in their home. When you have a bad day, don't say anything to anyone. And when someone tries to talk to you, snap at them, put them in their space and pass. Kishi comes to church Sunday morning, having a terrible morning. And then someone comes to talk to her. And Kishi is like, you don't talk to me. You don't know me. You can speak to me in that way. This. You know, Kishi goes on and on and on. This person is coming from a background like mine. For me, you don't shout at me. Like, this is me, being honest and, you know, sincere. You don't shout, and like, I cringe at people like, why are you shouting? Like, when my husband raises his voice, why are you raising your voice now? Why? You shouldn't be shouting. Now, imagine someone like Light meeting Kishi on that Sunday
It's
morning.
going to be an explosive experience.
Okay, so with that, now bringing me to the impact of church hurt and
Yeah.
how we can avoid it, you know, how we can move past it. What can we do? What do you do on a daily? What can you do to, you know, avoid these things? And also, you know, don't let it affect you. Like, what can you do? What can you do to move past stuff like that? You know,
I would say everybody's different, and it's not always a one size fits all, especially when the context is different. There are situations that you don't tell people that practice forgiveness in advance. There are situations that you don't tell people that don't give room to the enemy, or don't allow what they do impact you, because at the end of the day, they are humans. I don't care how much of a human you are. There's some things you don't do and go scot-free with.
Okay.
We would table it and deal with it accordingly, which is something I think the church needs to start working on. Because I feel like they're not committed that are put in place to even deal with some things. And then you just hear them say they are the elders. God say forgive and forget. Don't even add that forget part, because I'm like, when the Bible did God say forgive and forget? Anyways, if people know that their interest is protected, where they know that if things like this happen, there are people that I can go and meet
Yeah.
that would bring these people accountable. Trust me, people will not be quick to take odds very seriously enough to tell them that I'm not going to come to church again. Even when you try to make them feel like, oh, the church is the problem, they will tell you, no, the church is not the problem. It's me and this person, and it's been dealt with. Simple.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's why I feel like I don't really necessarily internalize church odds, because again,
Yeah.
people would hurt you. So the fact that we call it church hurt makes it feel like, oh, it's only some people that have been hurt.
Do you get?
And the fact that we look at it from the angle of some degree of odds are more. So that's why if it happens, so you see people talk about maybe rape, molestation, all of these things. They are hurt that happens on a daily basis. People are defrauding their members.
Exactly.
You're disenfranchising members. You're doing things that making
Sources of
you're
discord.
meddling into members' affair. Members are talking about the fact that pastor wife is gossiping about them. So many nonsense, because I attended a lot of small churches. And should we talk about it? Small churches are the brooding ground for nonsense. No attack, no shade, but it's just the truth, because we're little.
Yeah.
You know what's happening in my life.
Nothing is hidden.
Nothing is hidden.
Nothing is hidden.
So they will tell you somebody that, oh, somebody got pregnant. And before you know it, they are coming to church the next Sunday. Somebody is talking about it next year. And you're wondering,
Yeah.
how did they know?
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
That's
So
true.
how to avoid it? So why did I say all of this? To tell you that the impact cannot be generalized and say, okay, just practice this, do this 10 step. No. First thing is, allow people freedom to express whatever is going on to them.
Yeah.
You can then now tell them this is not enough to hold on to this level of response or reaction.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've created room for people to come to you and express how they feel, they would have no reason to go on social media like Instagram to start doing a 5x5 thread. I want to drop an article. They say I should not drop an article. The article I was dropping, they are trying to attack me. They are coming after God, they are coming after my family. As I drop this article, please call my family to ensure that I'm safe. And I'm like, oh my God, what's this mess? Because if you are giving people the freedom and the space to express their hearts vulnerably, fully, don't mind whatever they say. That's one thing that my dad practiced with us in our house. Because again, I always tell people, church start from the family. Your family is the first church you are introduced to. Because all of us as the body of Christ are the church.
Yes.
So my daddy practiced that shepherding in our family. My daddy would tell you, if you come together, let's sit, let's discuss it.
Exactly.
I told him recently, Daddy, what you're doing, you're not being frugal with money. You can't waste money like this because it's affecting us.
But that's so good.
And because of that, he said, okay, I will keep this
And
money
he
with
took
you.
it.
Yes, he keeps his money with me now. I'm his accountant. And he tells me every single thing he wants to do with the money.
Yeah. You know,
Nice,
I like to
nice.
add to the impact. I believe that what this also does to people is that it makes them not trust. They lose trust for God.
Yeah.
Yes, I was coming to that actually.
Their
Yes.
trust in God, like they can't. And guess what? You know, someone would ask, how does a person lose trust in God because they were hurt? People or men are the God that we see. So my encounter with you, scripture says, do you not know that you are God's? Right? So it means, do you not know that you are an extension of myself? So it means that for every time a person encounters you in church, at work, it should be an encounter with God.
Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when that is not present, they go back home asking themselves, was I not supposed to encounter God with this man? How did I encounter molestation? How did I encounter fraud? How did I encounter, whatever it is that, a person has seen? Or for this leader, how did I encounter me becoming the subject of gossip? And these things, they do think they destabilize people.
Yeah.
And the hurt is deep.
Got it.
And especially when people do not know how to express themselves, the best word for expressing yourself in matters like this is what? Withdrawal.
You just isolate.
You just like
You
so-
remove
True,
yourself from the
true,
situation that hurt you.
So
Yeah.
what I would say, or I would like to encourage, is that in as much as yes, people hurt you, God and men are, they're there and they're the God we see and all of that. And as in church, we should encounter Jesus with people. I
Exactly.
will also say we can try as much as possible to also move past it. Why do I say this? Let your eyes be on Jesus.
Exactly.
Okay. If you say, okay, this person hurts you, it's fine. It's okay to feel hurt.
Yes.
But please don't
stay there.
don't stay away from
Don't
God.
don't stay
No,
away from
don't
God.
do that. Don't do that.
You can
Don't do
change
that.
church, but
Yes,
don't
but
leave
don't leave the
church.
body. That's my own.
Don't leave church.
You can up and leave, but don't leave the
Yes.
body. Because I've been in a situation whereby I'm in a department and maybe stuff like this are happening. If I leave the department doesn't mean I'll leave the church. I'll go somewhere else and serve.
Yes.
I will shall serve my God. You will not be the one to come between me and God. Because when you do that, you're just leaving God because somebody hurts you. Then is Jesus a joke to you? Like, come on now, it's not. So please, eyes on Jesus, okay? I know it's hard. It's not easy. Forgiveness doesn't even come easy. Funny enough, forgiveness, I even learned it from the home, like she said. You know, everything starts from the home.
Yes.
So eyes on Jesus. It's not easy. It's okay to feel hurt. It's very okay to feel hurt, okay? But please don't linger.
And
Don't
you know,
linger.
I was
Don't
also
linger.
going to add that when you feel hurt, you know, and you begin to withdraw from God, it even begins to tell where your heart has always been from the start.
Guard your heart. It's
If
very
you
important.
truly were following God, like Hebrews 12, it says, looking not
Unto
unto
Jesus.
elders, not unto church members, not
But
unto
unto
leaders,
Jesus.
nor the fivefold ministry, but looking unto Jesus. So your focus should be on God, not on anybody. Like she said, just keep your eyes on God.
On God.
If you shake in the day of adversity, it means that God was not the focus from the start.
Proverbs 4, guard your heart. It's very important. Guard your heart. So Kishi, encourage us, please, tell us what
I would just
can
like
you
to
do?
say, for me, I'm always a very practical person because I feel like where I am currently in my walk with God is a vulnerable state where whenever people are saying, yes, I'm focusing on Jesus, but please, we'll face this thing, right? So I always tell people, just allow yourself process it, mourn that feeling, experience it, because one thing that people have not taught us enough is how to process things. And another thing I always say to people is this. So there are three types of men. There's the carnal man, there's the spiritual man, and there's the unsaved. The unsaved has not even encountered Christ at all. The carnal man has come to Christ rather, but he's still not living the life of Christ that's been
Already.
given to him.
Not fully.
So that carnal man is the one the devil will use against the spiritual man,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I always tell people, whenever somebody's carnality is expressing itself in whatever form, I will be foolish to allow your carnality bring me to your own carnality.
Exactly.
So your carnality will not become the tool that the enemy will use to drag me down along with you. So it will take me time to forgive. By the end of the day, I will let it go.
So,
So-
in a nutshell, whatever it is you do, eyes on Jesus.
Jesus, yes.
Please don't leave your God because of somebody else. Okay, they are humans. They are not Jesus Christ. Please, they are humans. Don't let it affect your walk with God.
Definitely.
Practice advanced forgiveness as much as you can. So today's episode was, whew,
It was a
girls.
lot. It was a lot.
Was a lot.
I wish
But I
we
really
had
learnt
more
a lot
time.
too,
And I feel like we'll talk about this more often because I feel like people
Yeah.
would consistently want to learn more. And as we grow more and gain more
Yes,
understanding
yes.
and all of that. But lastly, just accountability. Lack of accountability can cause a lot. So please, let's just do better. And God be with
Yes,
us.
do better. Eyes on Jesus.